biggest failure is not being honest with the community and not shooting straight and not telling them exactly like it is.
The sin of hurting a child. Matthew 18 verse 6. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea.
I've been to places in California where I've been to some places where there were little kids, where people were trying to sell these little kids.
Oh, wow.
I've seen a lot of
I don't see her coming home.
You don't see someone coming home.
When? How? Why?
You just gotta have faith.
Time.
You gotta have faith.
Look, I've been begging God too.
You just gotta keep the faith.
People come home. Yes, she is.
We're gonna keep hoping that she is. We're gonna keep praying that she is. I know it's hard because it's been a long time, but we've seen it happen before.
Baby, she's coming home. She is, baby.
We've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen before so many times. We just gotta keep the faith. We gotta keep the faith. We gotta keep her face out there.
She's coming home. That's what I tried to do today, and Candace flipped out. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I just went on international news today, and Candace was like, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm too good." Oh, you got that all wrong. So I had to speak for your ass. No. Yeah. Kim won't let me out there. That's bullshit.
I was at work and I called and they said that they was waiting on some prescriptions or something, and all I know is Allie begged her to come pick up Hunter and take him to the leg while they were waiting on the prescription. That's all I know. And I seen the footage where there's at the leg. I seen the picture. The very last picture she got was with her asleep by the milk jugs. That was the last picture.
Do you know for a fact that was that day, Don?
Yes, because I decided to stay at work longer because they wasn't going to be home. So I thought, well, I'll just get a couple more hours in. And that's when they got home. I was sitting talking to one of my buddies on the job site for a long time. We probably sit and talk for an hour and 15 minutes, and then I got that phone call, and I started throwing my tools in the Subaru. And
she gets out the car with Summer, and supposedly the kids went to work with the father. And so...
Now you say the kids. Who are the kids?
Wyatt and Josie.
So the boys?
Yeah, the boys.
Okay, went to work with Dawn.
That's what I was told, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And so...
Why did you take the Subaru from Candace in that day? Did you?
Well, I didn't take it from her. She had my Suburban and other vehicles. We had all kinds of vehicles.
Why'd you switch it up, though, is what I'm saying? Because I said something that I want to retract right now if it's not true. It was when I said that it was a power play because I thought Don was mad at Candace and he took it from her.
Well, no, nothing like that. It's just that I wanted to put some miles on the Subaru. I was paying all kinds of money for it. And I thought, well, I'll use it for a while, put some miles on it, let my truck sit and rest for a while. And she had that nice Suburban. And I was fixing up, had all kinds of money tied up in that thing.
Do you happen to know, or when you got to the house on the 15th, were you told if Grandma Candace had gone swimming to the swimming hole that day, or had gone out and run errands that day with Candace and Summer?
I do not recall about what happened to Grandma or where she was during that time. I know Candace was showing the officers and myself videos that they had of the boys and Summer swimming. I know they had gone swimming earlier that day, but as far as the grandmother, that I do not. I don't know any information on that.
Okay, no worries. You happened to mention a video that you had seen of Candace showing the Summer and the boys were swimming.
Yes.
Do you know, was that all of her boys, or was that the young boy we were talking about?
The video I saw was of Summer and her three brothers, but not the other young man.
Was it from that day or from a totally separate time that you'd seen that video?
That's that video that she showed me was the day she showed me that day that Summer went missing.
Okay.
And
Did she say it was taken that day or it was
Yes.
taken a different day?
Yes, ma'am. It was taken that day because
Okay.
they had gone out there swimming.
Okay.
How in fact, what time did you leave on June 15th for work? Because I haven't.
I'm a little mixed up on that, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought I got the phone call around 5:30 or so, but really, honestly, I cannot be sure. And then we went and looked in our phones to find out exactly, because we was working the timeline with the TBI, which nobody has the timeline but me, Candace, and TBI. We're the only ones that have the timeline. So anybody who claims to have a timeline, no.
Not any more than what we originally released. We know that her family reported her missing. They called the sheriff's office around 6:30. Prior to that, it was early afternoon when she was last seen, and they searched for a little bit and then reported her missing.
How many hours would you say?
I don't have that information.
What, super captain or
No way.
I'd say I'm 90% sure that I'm pretty close on my timeline with what happened that day and who was with me.
Yeah, and I'm not absolutely sure. And we checked our phones, and for some reason, when they took our phones, they took that part of our phones. And I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm really not sure, to be honest with you.
So Candace said in one of the phone calls when we were talking, and I just played it actually, and I think you were hearing it, is she said, Hunter's the one that called me that morning. When you told me in a previous phone call before this happened that Hunter wasn't allowed at the house that day, and you don't know, or she didn't know if Hunter was at the house that day. But Candace knows, I believe, if Hunter was there that day, because she would have had to bring him there, right?
Yeah, he wasn't. I don't think he was there that day, no. Because Allie had called.
You don't think he was there, but like if he was at, if he was picked up in the morning time after Candace, because Candace went and grabbed him while she, after the hospital. That's why I was asking, was Summer with her? Because I don't believe she put Summer in her bathing suit until later in the day, like she said, and it would have been at her house. So I believe Summer was left at home. So I'm wondering if she grabbed Hunter and then brought him back to your house, because that would have been the first time that day that he would have been back there.
She kept swimming stuff in the Suburban for the kids, because we put the canoe on top of the Suburban. And,
but she said in the interview that she said that it was too hot to leave. It was too hot to leave the house. It was Summer in those clothes that day, so she changed her in her bathing suit before.
Was he in a bathing suit?
No, I think he just had his shorts and his shirt on.
Okay, and Summer, was she in her bathing suit?
Yes.
And how did she get in her bathing suit? Or?
I actually put her bathing suit on before we left home because it was really hot out that day.
Okay.
So it was just something small and thin, not so hot.
Okay.
Because I know how she gets too hot.
Okay. And what was the temperature that day? Give me an idea.
Probably in the 80s.
Okay. So is Tennessee warm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it is now.
Yeah, I really wouldn't know on any of that stuff, to be honest with you. I assumed that Hunter was at home because Allie begged Candace to come and pick him up and take him to the lake for whatever reason.
Well, you said
she did.
Allie begged for him. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyways, I'm gonna get off here for now, and maybe I'll later down the road or something. Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Summer alive or dead to you? I hope she's alive. What do you feel? I mean, we all know statistics. In one way, I hope like hell she's not chained in somebody's damn basement somewhere for years.
You said you had.
Where the f*** you get that shit from?
Don, you said you had videotapes
crap.
of me.
What? I have videotapes of Josh, apparently. What the?
I don't know why you're laughing.
Holy
You're the one that
crap.
said it.
Are you serious?
Don, you said.
How do you know that I said that? Why would I say that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Number one, I don't lie, bitch. You get that through your.
I don't.
Right
I
now.
mean, everybody lies.
No, I don't lie. I don't lie, motherfucker.
I'm not sure why Candace thinks it's so funny. I can play it for you if you want to hear it.
Because.
Yes, Donald, you do. You do lie. Yes, you do.
Because my boss called me, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, look, Josh.
Okay.
You can scoff or you can suck a dick or whatever you want to do.
All right.
Whatever the f- it is you do, you little.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But my boss called me the other day. I am. Yes.
Okay.
Richard.
Oh.
He called me. I said that I sold somebody a tape, right? I sold some motherfucker a tape for $5,000 that showed him having sex with my daughter, right? And then that's the whole thing.
Now, he said that showed him with my daughter. Listen to this.
Right. And then that's the whole thing. And he was crying. This motherfucker was actually crying. This motherfucker is like a big shot of this community for $5,000 that showed him having sex with my daughter, right?
They showed him having, you know what, with Donald's daughter. Donald is implying that his boss, Richard, called him up and said he had sold a tape that had Richard. This guy, Donald, is actually talking about his own daughter, being violated. Supposedly by his boss. Let's go on to hear what else he says.
And then that's the thing. And he was crying. This motherfucker was actually crying. This motherfucker is like a big shot of this community. Like, oh, holy fuck. And he was crying. He says, but they're calling me a child molester. And I'm like, I started laughing.
How's that funny?
I'm like, it's not funny, bitch.
So that's where we ended up.
Your passion, because it seems like you know, and you know.
Those kids come here in the summer before summer died.
And it's got to be a predator. Only a predator would come up here and take our daughter. There's just not going to be somebody like, oh, I love you, Summer, and I just want to save you from a bad situation. 90% of the time when someone...
Hold on a second. Did you hear what he said? It ain't going to be somebody that just comes up and says, I love you, Summer. I want to save you from a bad situation. Well, what's the bad situation, Don? What is the bad situation? Are you saying that yourself and your house is a bad situation? In a minute, you make me sick. You make me sick, Don. And I just now started looking at this. Because when I read over it, when I actually went over it, and then I heard about, well, how could you talk about beating a child? And that makes no sense to me. No sense to me at all. Watch this, guys. I would love to get a chance to interview Jose or whoever, even Candace. I want to interview Candace.
It takes a little girl or whatever, a boy even, is for 90% of the time is because they're predators. So it's just not good. Somebody has hurt her, probably sexually, maybe beat the fuck out of her, probably killed her.
Look at that. Look at that. Somebody has hurt her. He did not say, oh, damn. He said somebody has. Past tense is in has. Anybody hear that? Did you hear that? He says somebody has hurt her. Beat the fuck out of her. Beat the fuck out of her. Hold on a second.
This ain't gonna be good. And because of all the pressure and YouTube and the TV shows and everything else, they probably wanted to get rid of the evidence and they probably killed her. I mean, let's be realistic.
You hear that, guys? They probably wanted to get rid of the evidence, so they probably killed her. They probably killed her and they wanted... I'm about to throw up. This is sick, guys. Right there. He automatically says it. He's telling on himself, guys. I mean, there's no other way. He's never said this to nobody else. There you go. There's Don's own words. No hope for finding her alive. Wow. There you go, guys. Listen to this part. This last 20 seconds, this 20 seconds right here is the most damning shit I've ever heard in my life. This is the most damning shit I've ever heard in my life.
It's not good. Somebody has hurt her, probably sexually, maybe beat the fuck out of her, probably killed her. Let's be realistic. This ain't gonna be good. And because of all the pressure and YouTube and the TV shows and everything else, they probably wanted to get rid of the evidence, and they probably killed her. I mean, let's be realistic.
Let's be realistic, Don. Let's talk about it. You're being realistic right there.
A good fucking reason for it. And he fully lost his shit because he knew what he'd have to say. If it ever went to court, it would out him with coleslaw. He knew why he was late that day. All his evidence. You know, and the second phone, who knows what the fuck was on it. Can't tell you. And I know he also often carried his mom and dad's cell phones as well. And they gave him those on purpose, you know, etc. to get up to fuckery. Because anytime they could create pain in my life, the world would help him cheat or do whatever they did. So it's like living around a pack of narcopaths that have all abused you since you were fucking 11 years old.
We're pulling into our house, but she's not here. And I've never listened.
What now? What do you? I know you feel that way. So what's brought you to that? Why are you at that?
Well, I knew as soon as I pulled up, as soon as I pulled up, and I didn't get a call back from Candace saying, "Oh, we found her," and I come all the way out from Jonesboro, you know, and I probably made it in 30 minutes at least, if not faster. But I beat all the police there, and I went straight to the bottom property. I seen everybody looking. I knew she was gone because she don't go away from the house ever.
Yeah.
And so I
go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just knew. I knew right then, that very second, that she was gone.
Okay, what inside of you?
Well, I knew they was looking around the hill and everything up top there, and I drove straight to the bottom there where that little funky shed is there, and I went down the hill by the creek in that little four-wheel drive Subaru. I went straight down there to the creek, and I seen the boys down there, and they know not to travel alone. They was together. And I see my neighbor walking around, and I knew my heart just sank right there. I just knew it, that somebody took her. Because she just don't go nowhere, but she would never leave from up of the, around the house there. No way. They weren't by the shed. They was down they were, if you look down where the power lines are, you go straight down, they were looking, walking around looking for Summer. And I knew I just knew she was gone. I mean, but trying to tell the police that and everything when they just pulled up, and then they blocked all the roads because I guess they took the time to call in search teams and everything like that, thinking that she was just lost in the woods. And I was trying to tell them she's not lost in the woods. Somebody has taken her, I tried to tell them that, and they never did listen to that. I'm not sure why. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I mean, probably because they figured that she was just lost. I don't know what I'm talking about, and and they had they all have different questions and this and that, and probably because many times before it's always been the parents too and stuff. Or whatever. I'm not sure, but I just knew that she was headed down the road somewhere in somebody's car, and no matter what I was saying, it just wasn't getting through. I just felt like I was just totally lost. I was in shock.
Yeah.
Shock.
No.
Police started coming in and everything, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go take my car, and I'm going to go look here and there, and drive around. And I drove, like I say, I was in shock. I didn't know which way to go. So I tried to drive down, and I got down there on the road, and there were these people bringing their trailers in and their four-wheelers, and all of Ben Hill and Beach Creek was just bottlenecked. Traffic jam. Couldn't get nowhere.
Right.
Couldn't go nowhere.
And then what about Now, are these all cops or are they search and rescue?
Well, they were mostly police and volunteer search and rescue or whatever like that.
Okay.
But I didn't. I probably didn't clarify on the phone. Either that she was abducted because I didn't know at the time. But when I pulled up there, I knew that she was gone. And maybe I didn't communicate that to them like I should have, or what was what I felt. Well, I had a few times. I said she's not here. I come to that conclusion right away. But just knowing her, and that because we tried to scare the heck out of her and let her know, because we do have bears, right. And we do, them dogs. Everybody keeps talking about them dogs, but they're the stupidest damn things, and they also will go away for days and then come back, and I don't know where the heck they go, but they do. And they weren't there that day.
Oh,
they weren't around that day. Yeah.
So the dogs. You think maybe the dogs got? What's your thought on why the dogs weren't there?
I don't know where they go, but there's been times, like I say, they've disappeared for days, and they'll come dragging back all tired and beat up and hungry, and stuff like that. Yeah. We don't know where they go.
When I told Candace she needed a zoo light.
Do what? Who is this? This is Benny. Oh. I sit here. Yeah. Hey, man, can you give me some insight on why Jody Sue was saying that your daughter said that you told her you saw Summer's body. Can you make any sense out of that?
It's a bunch of bullshit.
Like, why would she say that? It's like she says it, but then like everyone forgets that she says it, I guess. Like, but did she involve your daughter in telling that lie?
I mean, I don't know. I don't. Oh, goddamn. When are y'all going to stop on this?
Who?
I mean, why no do this? This is a new goddamn year, and I'm sick and fucking tired of this shit.
Then you shouldn't have answered the fucking phone, bud.
Why the fuck you calling my goddamn?
To just answer that, I think that people need to hear that from you.
No, I never, ever seen Summer's dead body. I mean, I don't guess it really matters. I had a dream one night that I seen her dead, yes. But it was a dream. Who knows?
Right.
Looking at the faces, you'd hear the slightest thing, and you'd think, how's that fit, or does it fit, or you'd have some crazy dream at night and wake up, all nervous. And I think once that happens, I just wrote the TBI, the thoughts. It was just thoughts. I think the TBI is very gracious to all of us in something like this, especially initially, because everybody has thoughts and they don't know what the TBI and the sheriff and all them, they don't know what they've gotten into, so they get a load of thoughts. Well, I had some thoughts. Not necessarily as much who did it. I mean, I was thinking of accidents, and I thought maybe she felt like a big girl. Wanted to run down to the post box, check the mail for the first time, and the mail guy hit her. You know, I think I even had the thought maybe Dawn came flying up the driveway, and that's before I knew any of the facts, actually. You know, and accidentally, there she was. You know, you're just having all these thoughts. But I didn't know anything. I still didn't know the family. All I heard was the tons of stuff rushing through YouTube, going somewhere. But it sure wasn't really helping the case. If anything, it was, you know, drowning Don in his sorrows all the more. And Candace.
The biggest failure is not being honest with the community and not shooting straight and not telling them exactly like it is. If my folks mess up, we dress up, fess up, and fix up. We admit it. We screwed this up. We'll fix it, and we'll fix it immediately. But I tell exactly what it is that's happening. If we have a shooting in the streets or a murder and there's a lot of police activity around, I don't say, well, excuse me, we're gathering the information and we're not sure exactly what happened. And as soon as we complete this investigation, we'll be back with you in 3 or 4 months. People don't want to hear that. That's crap.
Are you hinting at something?
That's baloney. Yeah, well,
you kind of are, though, right? That's
yeah.
kind of what you're saying. So, so
I tell them straight up. I'll say, look, I'll start out the press conference.
Yeah.
It's on social media. They cut it out of mainstream media. I say, look, the information I give you today is brand new information.
Okay.
It's the best information that we know at this time. It's not only subject to change, it probably will change. But here's what we know at this early stage of the investigation. And I tell it all, brothers and sisters, I tell it all. And you know what? People accept that. And then as the investigation goes along, I come back and modify it later. Because I'm not hiding anything. I have nothing to hide. We had an emergency here. We responded to the emergency. You know, they shot at us, we shot at them, or 2 people shot at each other, and we have somebody in custody. We always want to peacefully take everyone into custody so that we can take them into the criminal justice system. Everyone, thank you for being with us today. I'm going to discuss a case with you that has been going on since May the 7th. It started as a missing persons investigation. And if you've not paid attention before to some of the releases, let me introduce you to Ethan Allen. He's 21 years of age. He was reported missing to us on May the 7th. He was last seen or heard from alive at about 11:21 p.m. He was staying at 1116 Driggers Road, and he was staying with Talon Page. They referred to each other as brothers. They were that close of friends. Now, we've not released a lot of information on this investigation thus far because we're intensely looking for him, and between the 7th and the 12th, when we initially arrested Talon Page, this was a missing persons investigation that elevated to what we believe to be a death investigation, in fact, a murder investigation. We weren't saying that, as you well know, at the time, but we were looking for him and praying for the best. Last Friday afternoon, we got evidence back from the lab that confirmed that the blood that we seized from the house at 1116 Driggers Road, where Talon lived, was in fact Ethan Allen's blood. We still have not found Ethan Fussell. We know that he was last seen and was staying with Talon Page, his best friend, or as they call brothers. We have every reason to believe at this point that Ethan Fussell is a victim of murder. We don't know where he is at this time and place. We found evidence at Triggers Road when we served a search warrant where they were trying to clean up the crime scene. There was a significant amount of blood there. We know that there were drugs sold and used at Talon's house on Triggers Road. We know that there was an argument, according to witnesses, between Talon and Ethan. And we believe it was over either money or drugs. Now, we arrested Talon Page for disposal of a lighted substance because we wanted to get him in jail. We wanted to get a fresh set of fingerprints. We wanted to arrest him for something. So the disposal of lighted substance was when he threw a cigarette on the ground. Now, that's a pretty small criminal charge, although it is. That's what he looked like on May the 12th. This is what Talon Page looked like on June the 2nd when we arrested him. You see the difference in his looks? Well, why does he look different? It was Talon's own statement to us. I cut my hair because I was on the run. I knew you were looking for me. But who was he with? Well, he was with Adani. We know that Adani sells drugs for Talon. We know Adani is a dope user. We know that they sell dope out of the house on that occasion. We know that Adani is a gang member, at least according to him. We know that, according to the criminal history, that Talon has 11 previous felony arrests and 16 misdemeanor previous felony arrests. Adani was just released from prison on May the 1st, 2023, and he's now only 21 years of age, and he's got 41 previous felony charges and 26 misdemeanor charges. So how did we get on to him? We got on to the two of them because they were hiding and running, and we have been running after them. We have been just a step behind. But they went to Mulberry to an address to stay. Adani knew a guy from Mulberry that he had been in the county jail with, and he said, hey man, we need a place to crash for a couple of days. They're after us. And the guy said, come on and stay with me. Adani was actually seen on the front porch wearing a full stocking mask. So, you know, you're a little suspicious when at your hangout, you're coming outside wearing a full stocking mask. No one said these folks were Rhodes Scholars, okay? They're criminals. And we have reason to believe that Adani took part in the murder, but Talon Page was the primary source to murder his best friend. So we received a call. Our deputies responded immediately, along with canine support, aviation support. We surrounded the house and took them into custody. They've not talked to us at this time. We've charged him with tampering with evidence and accessory after the crime of murder. But I do want to say something else about Ethan. Ethan's not a bad kid. In fact, he's just the opposite. He's a good boy. He was only 21 years of age. He was growing up. He didn't want to go along with mom and dad's rules at home because he's growing up, so he moved out. Unfortunately, he befriended the likes of these folks. Okay? Now, that's what ultimately cost him his life. was who he was friends with. But I can tell you, he has 0 arrest history. He's never been in any trouble with us at all. He simply was hanging out with the wrong crowd. Now, when your mom and dad tells you if you hang out with dogs, you get fleas, they know what they're talking about. Because the reality is, this was a solid kid, and he is now deceased, and his body, we don't know where it is. We want to return Ethan to his wonderful family. He comes from a wonderful, beautiful family who have been totally cooperative and worked with us. We have over 1,000 hours of investigative time in this case so far, trying to find Ethan and holding these folks accountable. There's going to be more criminal charges. There's going to be more people that are arrested. But ladies, I know that you thought it was a cool place to go hang out at Talon's. But, you know, here's what Talon really thought of you. This was a sign he had in the house. So I would encourage you to understand that you're wonderful young ladies. You're not what he referred to you on this sign. And if you're protecting him or hiding him and he's wanted for murder, nothing good is going to come from you keeping your mouth shut. So if you were one of the young ladies that's just hanging out there because it was a cool thing to do, we'd like to have you as a witness. We'd like to have you cooperate. We would like to have you tell us where Ethan is so we can return him to his family. And this is what Talon and Adani and his buddies really thought of you, okay? So quit defending someone who thinks that you're not a first-class citizen, that you're something less than that, and help us get these guys appropriately charged and return Ethan to his family. Are there any questions?
Somebody at the house in Mulberry recognized them?
Yes, they sure did. It was actually someone in a neighbor's house who saw them coming and going and go, I've seen them on social media, I've seen them on the news, and it was someone in the neighborhood that called and said, hey, these guys are at this house.
Can you speak at all to some of the charges against Adane, this aggravated assault, false imprisonment, things like that?
The previous charges? Yeah, those are previous charges, and no, I don't have the details of the previous charges, but Adani just got out of prison. I think he was sentenced to 3 or 3.5 years. But this guy's only 21 years of age. These are just bad actors. They're nasty, mean, violent people. Look, when you have dope and you have guns, you have death. And unfortunately for Ethan, that's what happened. We want to find Ethan and return him to his family. Ethan's mistake was he trusted someone who he thought was his friend. And ultimately, the guy got mad at him and murdered him.
The person that was hiding, I mean, they're facing charges as well.
That they're still under investigation at this point in time. There's lots of other people who may be watching social media or watching the news report. They too will end up in jail if they don't smell the roses and start cooperating. The investigation is ongoing. It's not over. There's a lot of work to do, but the best thing we could do is find Ethan. And after all, I have this thing that I like to share occasionally. You can be a suspect or you can be a witness. You can be a suspect or you can be a witness. You can sit in prison for decades or you can be a witness. The choice is yours. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being with me today as we give you the update on the saga of Ethan Fussel's murder. And I noticed that Stacy decided to work and be here on her birthday, so happy birthday, Stacy. Let me remind everybody as I bring you up to date. Ethan Fussel's 21 years of age, and on May the 7th, he went missing. I've already talked about the fact that he came from an absolutely, totally wonderful family. That as a 21-year-old, he was growing up and he wanted to leave home because, you know, those rules at home were for kids. So he moved out with some friends, and unfortunately, he befriended the wrong person. We looked for him, and we were praying that we'd find him alive. We still haven't found Ethan Fussell, and today we're going to give out more information so we can get more help and bring you up to the current status of the case. We continue to compile evidence against our suspects, and we have every reason to believe, as I said in the past, that Ethan is deceased, that he was murdered, by what he thought was his best friend. They referred to each other as brothers. But Ethan is a good kid, and he got in with the bad, wrong crowd, and it cost him his life. So I told you before that we had arrested Talon Page first on June the 2nd, and then he bonded out on a minor arrest, and we rearrested him with Adani, his friend. The two of them, we believe, were responsible for the murder of Ethan. So we talked about these are bad guys. He's got 11 previous felony arrests, 16 misdemeanors. Adani's got 41 felony arrests, 26 misdemeanors. In fact, Adani had just been out of jail out of prison about a year on a 3.5-year stretch. So we arrested them for tampering and accessory after the fact and put them in jail. Last night, our detectives added the charge of first-degree murder for both of these men. Why were they charged with first-degree murder? We have found video evidence of them beating Ethan. We found video evidence where Ethan was beaten severely. We're not going to further describe that just to spare the family. We have explained in detail to the family what we're saying publicly today. We also charged him, both he, being Talon, and Adani, with 2 more counts of tampering with evidence apiece. So the charges continue to stack up. Now we have them charged with capital felony murder because of the evidence by detectives who are simply the very best, along with their leadership put together. It's important to point out, as I've said many times, in the last 15 years, there's 2 unsolved murders in this county. And of those 2, on one of them, we know who did it. We just couldn't get the witnesses to cooperate. And so that case wasn't brought. But if you come to Polk County and commit a murder, we are going to find out who you are and arrest you. And once again, that's what happened here. But along the way, we made other arrests. And I want everyone to understand clearly and unequivocally, this investigation's not over. There's room in Gradytown for you to be arrested. And if you don't know what Gradytown is, it's the county jail. We're going to arrest more people for hiding evidence, tampering, accessory after the fact, if they don't cooperate and help us out, so you can be a witness or a suspect. Well, these folks decided that they would be a suspect. This is Crystal Dowling. She's 24. She's Adani's girlfriend. She's never been to jail that we can find. She worked at Chili's on Hardin Boulevard in Lakeland as a server. In fact, we arrested her at Chili's on June the 3rd, where we charged her with tampering and false report to a law enforcement officer during a capital felony investigation. She is locked up in jail. Now that was on June the 3rd. On June the 4th, We went back after reviewing the videotape that we got, the evidence where they've recorded beating our victim, Ethan. And we charged her with tampering with evidence, an F3, false report, an F3, and accessory after the fact to capital murder, an F1. Now, Crystal is trying to protect her boyfriend and her boyfriend's friend that committed the murder. Crystal is facing 40 years in prison. Then there's Autumn. Autumn Thomas is 25. She's Talon's girlfriend. She's never been arrested. She's not employed. We arrested her originally on June the 3rd for tampering with a witness, which is a third-degree felony. And then we came back on the 4th and added accessory after the fact to capital murder, and that's a felony of the first degree, and false report of a crime. She's facing 40 years in prison. So she's trying to protect her boyfriend. They actively helped what we believe in the disposal of Ethan. What's important about this is I don't know if they think we're playing. We're not playing. Go ahead and stay attached to the guy who's fixed to spend at least his next life in prison if the state attorney doesn't choose the death penalty. Because you too, ladies, can sit in prison for the next 40 years. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that you do that. You've gone from no arrest to 40 years in prison. How does it feel to be an accessory to the murder of a kid, a 21-year-old kid? So, you don't want to tell us about the murder? You don't want to tell us where Ethan is? Just set your butt in jail. But as sure as I'm standing here talking to you today, this investigation's not over. We intend to find Ethan. And we intend to return him to his family. His family deserves that. Now, we know there are other people out there that have information. And if you're not scared to death after hearing me talk, you should be. Because we're coming after you too. But there's a simple way out of this. If you heard something or saw something, say something, call Crime Stoppers. All we want to do is find Ethan and return him home. We don't want to lock you up in jail, but we will if you've had any part of this murder or the aftermath of the murder, hiding people, giving false information. Now, there's a lot of things these young ladies did that we're not telling you about leading us down the wrong path, sending us the wrong ways, playing games with us. Hey, girls, how you like the game you're playing now? It's called a jail game. You want to give us more bad information? You want to lie to us some more? You want to intentionally lead us away from your boyfriends? Your boyfriends are in the same jail. Well, no, you're in one jail and they're in the South jail, but they're in the same system and you'll never be together again. Because they don't mix boys and girls in prison. We need some help. This car belongs to Talon. It is a 2000 Lexus 400. It has extremely dark windows. It has a sunroof. The tag on it is CC02IL. CC02IL. It has a Florida tag on it. This car was last seen on May the 13th at 4:30 in the afternoon going eastbound on Interstate 4 in the vicinity of Lakeland. This car is missing. Ethan is missing. After they beat Ethan to death on Driggers Road in a mobile home, they cut the carpet out. So we're confident that Ethan is more than likely wrapped up in this carpet, possibly in this car, maybe not. So this car may be on the side of the road. It may be sitting in a busy parking lot. It may be in a busy parking lot at an airport. It may be in a cranker's backyard. It may be scattered who knows where. We don't have it yet. We'll pay for this car. We'll pay $5,000. $5,000 if you'll call Crime Stoppers and tell us where the car is. You don't have to get involved. If it's in your backyard and you call Crime Stoppers and you cooperate and say, hey, it's in my backyard, come get it. That's all we want. That's all we want. But if you mess around until we find it in your backyard, or you mess around till we find you moving it after listening to this social media today, we're going to be on you like a cheap J.C. Penney suit. That's a guarantee. Help us find the Lexus. Help us find Ethan. Help us find that large piece of carpet that's cut out. They cut the carpet out and took Ethan away, and he's hidden someplace. We got there with a search warrant, and we cut the floor out, complete with the bloody stains that went all the way through the carpet into the floor. So we got the floor of the mobile home. Somebody else has got the carpet. Help us. Let me remind family and friends of Crystal and Autumn. If you didn't murder Ethan, you're not our primary target. We want who murdered him. If you helped your boyfriends, I'd love, we can talk about that. Or you can go to prison for 40 years. But I would suggest that you ladies come off of it. And there's others out there that have knowledge that we just haven't gotten to you yet because we've been kind of busy. Our investigative unit has over 1,000 hours, as we said the other day, in this investigation. Let me make something abundantly clear. If it takes 2,000 hours or 3,000 hours or 4,000 hours, we're going to do everything we can to find Ethan. We need your help. Any questions? Yeah, we don't want to tell where the videos came from, but don't you think it's pretty stupid to murder somebody in the first place? Don't you think it's real stupid to record it? Well, I'm grateful they recorded it. It just made our job easier. And I won't tell the way and the place, the locations, but our detectives are magical. They're the best. You come to Polk County, you murder somebody, we're going to find you and arrest you and prosecute you because Brian Haas at the state attorney's office with his homicide team's the best.
Sheriff, in regards to the vehicle, will you be searching any waterways, lakes? Because it could be in the water.
Absolutely. There's 550 lakes in Polk County. So where do you start? But yes, we're going to search waterways. But it'll be a lot easier for us if somebody will just call Crime Stoppers. Listen, Crime Stoppers is not run by the sheriff's office or any law enforcement agency. It's an independent group. You call Crime Stoppers. You give us this information. You're given a code number. And then we find the vehicle. We'll be back on television and on social media and go, aha. Then we call the code number into, there's a system where I say we, Crime Stoppers calls it in, and then you go pick up your $5,000. We don't know who you are. Quite frankly, we don't care who you are. We just want the car, and we want Ethan. More so, if it's one or the other, give us Ethan. Okay?
How many people were at the house that night?
We don't know all of the people that were out the house. We know there were 4 or more, and we're working on information and witnesses that can clear up some of that.
When more question for me. So there was a second location where the suspects went to burn items.
In Mulberry?
To burn items?
No, to burn items, yes.
Yeah. Can you say where exactly that was? Or?
We checked 2 or 3 burn pits, and we found absolutely no evidence of any items.
Burn pits where?
Burn pits and different locations. I'm not sure which locations, but we searched out the burn pits or the fire pits and didn't see any evidence at all. I think that got into the cranker network with a lot of social media chatter.
I just asked you, it was mentioned in the affidavit.
Yeah, we searched it. Okay. Folks, we appreciate your help. That means a lot to us. And I want everyone watching this to think, if Ethan Fussell were your son or your cousin or your brother, what would you want someone to do? You'd want them to help. Well, if you have information, pretend it's your family. Just call the information in. We got the capital felony murder charges made. We got them made. Now we're just trying to get Ethan home. Okay? God bless you. Talk to you.